looks like we are live. We made it to yet another Wednesday. How's everything going? I'm so glad you're here. Thank God that we're able to have the lights and the YouTube account and all these wonderful things and the great people here to make this happen. It's such a blessing. I just want to thank God for that right now. Without Him, none of this is happening. And so thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out for part 11, which may only take one or two after tonight for this beautiful angel to be complete. So let's see. Who do we have here right away? We have Dan Mayer all the way from Indianapolis. How are you, sir? So glad you're here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Having a weird hair day. I apologize for that. We have Bobby all the way from Cape Cod. Great to see you. Oh, those files I sent you, they're silhouette files, just to let you know that. So you got to be on your computer to open them, Bobby. Mr. Tone from New York, how's it going? Great to see you, Tone. Great artwork you're doing. That self-portrait is just amazing. Just thank you so much. Tone from Brooklyn right now. We're living in Brooklyn. And so that's great. And we have Mr. Rick from Canada. Love my Canadian friends. How are you, Rick? And we have Nick. How's it going, Nick? Nick, you are from, let me see, Minnesota. Let me see if I got that right, Nick, or Oklahoma. One of those two. I'm leaning towards Minnesota. Let me see if I got it right. The Midwest is kind of murky for me. Sorry about that, my friend, but you're unforgettable. Mr. Brad from Canada, the second in my Canadian connection. So glad you're here, my friend from Manitoba. Yes, all right, Nick, I got it. Thanks so much. Mr. Color Graphics Roy from New Jersey, how are you? So glad you're here. We are doing really well with, finishing up this angel. So thank you so much, those of you who are hanging with me for this 11th time of painting this beautiful angel. Thank you so much. And so JC from the Atlanta area, how are you, JC? Great to see you. How's everything? Working hard, I imagine. You're always working hard. You're a good, very good family man. So I admire you, sir, for the work that you do. And so that's amazing. Today I have black tea with lemon, and I got some seedless lemons, which were really good. I enjoyed them. I like the seedless lemons. You don't got to deal with the seeds that get into your into your tea. Ryan, how's it going? Ryan, my friend from Canada, how are you? Love that pencil drawing. So amazing. That is really great. And so that is cool. And thank you so much there, JC. I appreciate that so much. And so, let's see what else is going on here. What a great group we have already. It's not the quantity, but the quality always. I don't care if I have 1 million people on here. I'd rather have 7 amazing people or 8 people that are amazing than having 1 million of people who, aren't, such good friends and everything like that. So that's so very, very important. All right, so let's see. So we have our angel, and today we are going to be working on getting some more beautiful hair, maybe just indicating some shadow planes of the wing there, which is really good. And let's see, what else can we have here? Okay, that seems about it for the preparation. So I had some India ink in there because, ink flingers. I'll get rid of the India ink that's in here. And we're going to start with our angel, which is, we're working pretty good with that. We don't need to see any more. Enough of me, more art. Less Tim, more art. So let's go ahead and do that. And JC says she's looking great. That means so much to me, my friend. Thank you so much for that. Honestly, I really appreciate you. So thank you. And so I'm looking for my water. And I'm just going to put some fresh water in there. It's kind of murky, so let me get some fresh water. Okay. All right, so I have my water. I'm going to get my brushes, the wet palette, the whole 9 yards. I don't know where that expression came. That's a good question. If someone could go on the internet and tell me where the expression the whole 9 yards came from, I'd love to hear it. Bobby says, as always, amazing group of artists for us newbies and struggling learners to learn from for sure. Thank you, Bobby. You're a great artist yourself. And so it's really fantastic. You all are good friends, and this is just a nice, safe place for us artists to talk our language, you know? So I have these brushes, and I don't think I need anything more than this. I'm just going to separate them so they don't get mixed up with my oil painting brushes. That would be rather tragic. So I'll get my wet palette, put this beautiful angel over here, and my stinky wet palette. Hopefully it won't be as stinky. It's just from last week. Bobby says, thank you for that time, but have so far to go and learn. Oh, thank you for that, Tim. Oh, sure. This is really on the stinky side. What we do for art, right? This wet palette kind of smells a little funky. We're going to either get a new wet palette. They're only 25 bucks. I think I'm going to do that. Or maybe find another. Yeah, I just don't want to deal with this stink on a long period. Stinking cute that pic is. That's funny. Okay, now. So where to begin? Now, I wanted to do her dress, and I want it to be white. And so I'm going to be pulling up her reference. Let's see. And there's the angel. Let me see if I can pull up her angel. You all can see her. That would be good. And okay, so I have my reference here. Use PureRef, everybody. PureRef.org, I think it is. Please try it. It's really fantastic. Or PureRef.com, not sure. Let me see. Do I have the angel here? No. So I'm going to go ahead and add her. Let's see. We're going to, with this this really great split cam, you can go to image, and then you go to your files, and voila, now you can see the image that I'm working from, which is really great. So really, and then, you know, remember I always say the 1 second rule, you know, I beat it to death because it's so important, you know. And let's see, that palette has seen some work. Yes. Ryan says it looks like his shirt after Chinese food. PureRef is awesome, Tim. Glad you taught us that app. Oh, yes, it is so much, Bobby. Thank you. Yeah, I love that so much. That's a great product. Yeah, it just makes a big difference when working from your reference. So, I want it white, and we're going to be using a freehand shield for that. But I have some ideas and how we going to kind of work on this. I do have this from Mr. I have this shield right here. See this shield, everybody? This is from Gerald Mendez, one of the best airbrush artists to ever live. And I'm going to be using this to kind of work out the shape of her dress here. So I'm really not spraying through it as much, but just using it to kind of get the irregular shape of her dress. So let's do that together. And I'm going to put white in my airbrush. And the white I'm going to use are, you know, my friends and yours, Createx. And I like using Createx illustration white because the erasability and everything like that is so important. Mr. Todd, all the way from San Diego, how's it going? So great to see you, Mr. Todd. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Todd is a great friend of the channel. He's been with this YouTube channel from very close to the very beginning. This is getting close to the end, so I may have to open up another bottle soon. That's one thing about Createx. It's so good, and you use it so much, you need more. So it's the best airbrush paint out there, and it's not even a close. There's not even a close second. You know, there's Createx, and then there are other brands, but why would you use them if you know about Createx? That's how I feel, and that's just, you know, my, you know, that's just my my experience speaking there. You know, it's doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, and if I ever mess up, it's usually my fault that I have to learn, you know, how that paint reacts. So it's really great. And as everyone's saying hi to Mr. Todd, that's great. Thanks, Todd. And so, okay, so I had my India ink in here, my Extreme Patriot Arrow airbrush, customized by myself. And we'll dump that out. And then we have to run some water through it, of course. You don't want ink mixing with the white. She'll have a gray dress. Air Todd says, watching TV with Mom and watching us. Thank you. East Side, all the way from East Side of Chicago. Great to see you. How are you, sir? So glad you're here. Thanks for hanging. I appreciate you. It's always fantastic to have our regulars come back. Did anyone check out the shaker yet? No, not yet, but hopefully soon. Once, you know, funds get kind of straightened, that would be great. So I should be finishing this by tomorrow, the next live stream. That live stream could be tomorrow if we get 5 super chats today. I always leave it up to you guys. So I'm setting up my goal. And so let's see, our goal, I'm setting the timer. Let's see, pick a goal. Let's see. Is it allowing me? Let's see. Oh, it's not allowing me. Oh, okay. So I will do a bonus live stream tomorrow if I get 5 super chats. They can be really low, like $2. There's no there's no, you know, size that important. So size doesn't matter always. I will do a bonus live stream tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern time. 12:30 EST. And let's see. And so it's not allowing me to set up. Okay, great. So, yes, It's not 10 super chats. It's 5 super chats in a half hour. And it's not allowing me to, we'll continue. Uh, okay, so if I get 5 super chats in a half hour, because now it's doing it that way, I didn't do it before. 5 super chats in a half hour, we'll have a bonus live stream. If not, we'll just continue it next week. So no worries, whatever you guys decide, no pressure. It's up to you guys. I'm happy to do a bonus live stream with you all because anytime I get to see you is always amazing. So it's a win-win for me. And let's see. So now we have this. And I want to start over here. Let's see. Dan says he has a blue one. It's the Vortex Stirred Turbo. Wow, that's great. That's fantastic. All right, so here goes. Actually, remember what I always say. What do I always say? A lot of things, right? I say too much. But I'm just going to test my airbrush. So the paint is nice and light, and it's working. Two very important qualities when airbrushing, right, my friends? And I have my color line paper, a little scrap paper. Whenever you're testing your airbrush, test it out on the same paper you're working on. It's really important. If you're testing it out on something that's, let's say you're working on gray paper and you test it out on white, you're not going to see what it's doing, and you're not going to see what it's going to do on your paper. So I hope that helps. You know, all these little tips and tricks are really good because I live by them, and I hope they could help you all. That's all. It's all about you guys and girls out there. We don't have any girls in this live stream, but I know you're out there. I'm waiting on you. So I'm just see how, whoop, let me move this down. The first super chat. Thank you so much, my friend, for $10, Mr. Bobby. Thank you. Just 4 more left to go. Bobby, thank you so much for coming to the live stream, being a friend of the Super Chat, being in the mentorship program. I appreciate you, and I definitely appreciate your friendship more than anything. Thank you so much. So we just need 4 more, and believe it or not, that's going to get us to where we need to go for tomorrow's live stream, you know. And so right now you can see I'm having a good time with this, and I'm just blocking out all the holes, right? Let's see. See, as I'm starting to get her dress a little bit, and I'm wiping the freehand shield in between sprays. Going perpendicular and not parallel, right? Perpendicular, not parallel. And I'm going to take a sip of my tea with lemon. So now it says 1 of 5, but if I get 5, we will have the live stream tomorrow, which we will continue our angel and possibly finish her. So next week we can do a brand new painting, which is great. And Bobby says, Master Tim, I think this is the first time I've seen you use a texture stencil. Yes, very true. And it's not really texture I'm using, right? And that's funny. But yeah, you know, there's a time and place for everything, right, sir? I agree. But Mr. Mendez does some amazing, his stencils are just incredible. Really amazing. See, I'm able to create that feeling of her ethereal dress, right? Just to get that real nice feeling of you know, of the texture of her outfit. Now she's an angel, so it's not an earthly outfit, right? We have to keep that in mind. So I like the fact that it's going to be kind of wispy and everything like that. And then I'm going to use a texture stencil to kind of pull out some lights. That's going to be fun. At this point, you definitely want the painting to be fun, right? And you see how that's kind of working out for us, right? Not bad. And right here. There we go. And I think it really adds a sense of space and everything, having her have a dress. So I think that's a good thing. Let's see. Now here it kind of goes up a little bit. So we're just going to move this around. Oh, right here we can kind of make this happen. And we have a nice little edge here, so let's make that happen, my friends. And just nothing too fancy. It's just, you know, kind of wispy, kind of made of light because she's an angel, right? So that's really important. All right, so that's cool. Now let's go ahead and put that in here. We'll add some little light areas here in her dress. Why not? Thank you, Mr. Mendez. Like I said, one of the greatest airbrush artists to ever live. And it's so great to use. It's such an honor to use his product, right? So let's make this happen. See how I can get a little bit of a texture with her dress a little bit, which is nice. Just, you know, just something a little bit out of the ordinary. There's a time for a technique, and every technique a time. Right here, we can put a few things here. Let's see. Oh, I like this the way it's coming. Really nicely. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a little strong edge here and there. Very cool. Let's see, everything is good. Okay. So right now we have, let's see how many concurrent, we have 10 people on the channel. Thank you, everybody. That's pretty cool. I want to thank every one of the 10 people who are here tonight. Really appreciate you. And like always, want to thank God to have the ability to do these live streams, right? Without God, it's not even possible. I wouldn't be here. So great. So I'm very happy with that. So that's cool. Now that we have the white in our airbrush here, let's create some strong wings here. Move this out of the way. And I have my pure ref, so I really can look at my reference here. With white, you're always going to have tip dry, so always keep an eye on that, right? It's so, so important. I can use this. I can use anything for my freehand shield. I want a nice hard edge right down there. Combination of soft and hard edges. It's always good. It's always a good practice, especially doing something like wings. In the center of the wings, we're going to have some really bright whites. Let's set that. Yeah, I think that's looking okay. I think we're good. I don't do a lot of scratching techniques, but there's a time for it, right? As long as it fits within the fundamentals of the painting, you know, fundamentals of anatomy, fundamentals of color, fundamentals of line, fundamentals of edges, you know, as long as that's being taught, you're okay. If that's not being taught and one is just scratching, then that's not good. Fundamentals is everything. Fundamentals is what's going to allow you to hone your craft, to get better and better. So that's crucial. All right, so I'm very happy with that. That's really good. So first part of the painting is a success of working with the live stream tonight. Don't forget, we only have a few more minutes if you want to see a 12:30 live stream continuing from here tomorrow for 2 hours. So we have one. And you know what they say? The people will speak, you know, if there'll be a live stream tomorrow. After all that craziness with the presidential elections here in the United States, I'm just glad it's over. So me and my group class, which is part of my mentorship program, we have a group class every week. So with my mentorship program, we have one-on-one every week within their schedule. And then every week we have a group class. In our group class, we are starting a painting that we're all going to work together, which is going to be a still life of a purple onion. So I'm so excited for that. Looking forward to that a lot. Okay, so let's see. What's next on our agenda here? what can we do? We have a lot to do, right? There's no question that we have a lot to do, but we're gonna just double check and see. Let's see if we can do some paintbrush technique. So I want to work on her hair. So we're going to use Wicked paints, and we all love Wicked paints, don't we? Because you can paint on anything, and if you can paint on anything, that's fantastic. But you can't paint on your girl. You know, you don't want to do that because I don't think Wicked is good for that. You need like what do you need? You need those skin paints. That you can paint on your girl. All right, I love that color. So this is Sepia, 0070 Sepia. So let me zoom in and show you. And I'm going to look at that, 0070 Sepia. And this is Detail. So this is Wicked Detail. Really good. And this one is a 2-ounce bottle, 60 milliliters. Highly recommend that color. I think that color will really help you when you're doing stuff like hair. Most people have brown hair anyway. So I'm going to get my liner brush. So your liner brush is a very long hair, and so it's really used to hold it from a distance, right? You don't want to go and kind of choke up like that. You want to hold that from a distance, and you kind of want it to kind of drag across, right? So I'm going to kind of bring Mr. Air Todd, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. That is so cool. So that means that we're only 3 away from a new live stream tomorrow, which is going to be 12:30 to 2:30. So thank you for that, sir. Thank you for being a long-time friend of the channel and a great artist, and I really appreciate you, and more than anything I appreciate your friendship, sir. So thank you for that. Now I want to have a little bit of the 4011. Thank you so much, Todd. Once again, you are amazing. It's always great to see you, talk to you. You know, you've been a friend of me and the channel for a very long time, so I appreciate you very much, sir. Now I have this, which is the 4011. I'm going to use that to kind of dilute it and come here, and anyone who knows me knows that I do this kind of dry brush technique. Now this might not be dark enough, but I'm feeling it will be. But there's only one way to do it, which is to test it, right? Thanks so much, Todd, again. Let's see. So I'm just going to kind of... Now I'm probably going to have to add a little bit of black to this. We'll see. Let's see. Get all those hairs wet. Okay, so we'll zoom in and you guys can see exactly what we're thinking. So we have, let's see what the time is. Let's see, Seagull. Okay, we have 10 minutes and 47 seconds. It doesn't look good, but if we do get 3 more super chats of any size inside 10 minutes, we'll have a second live stream tomorrow. So that would be good. And that's 12:30 Eastern Time, New York time. I'm going to put some of this color in here, which is Wicked Opaque Jet Black. And it really doesn't matter what black it is. We just want to add a little bit to create a little more, just a little more contrast here, which is good. And let's see. Very cool. And it's okay if we don't have the live stream tomorrow. You know me, there's always something I have to do. Some personal painting or get ready for a class or anything. So that's cool. No pressure, everybody. Let's see. Let's come over here. Bring this down. There. So now you see I'm just kind of getting in some of those like real thin hairs that you really don't notice unless you're really in there, you know? So there we go. And let's see, if I move to her eye, let's see what we have here. Is there anything I need to do in her eye? And that is the question. I guess right here, this crease, I could probably come in a little bit darker. There we go. Just hit that crease and maybe just the right side of her iris. Just a little bit like right there is really cool. And okay, so we can hit her eyebrow, you know, as the eyebrow kind of fades into the center by her glabella. It kind of gets a little scarce. So we want to make sure. And it actually extends a little bit past her, the corner of her eye. So let's make that happen. See how it's kind of incomplete? And that's what happens. And there's some tiny hairs coming down here, like so. See that? Little tiny hairs, which is always fun to do. Okay. And we'll just come down. Bring this down. So some might say, well, Tim, how come you have so many parts? Like other artists have, you know, part 5 and they're done, or part 4 and they're done. Well, the whole idea of the live stream is that I record them and you could see them when, you know, you have time, you know, and also when I do record them, I don't do anything off camera. So if you want to see, like, how did he do those irises? How did he get that yellow? You can always go back into the live streams, you know, whether it's part 7 or part 6 or part 2. You can always go and see how I did that. If I show you one area and then the next live stream is like I did 20% off camera, I feel that, you know, it's kind of not geared for you. So that's why I don't do it that way. I can. And plus, when I do the live streams that, let's say I'm doing a live stream and you can see where I had trouble, right? Like if you look in part 2 of live stream here, you can see I had quite a bit of trouble in part 2. So it's good to see how I handled it, right? You know, how does somebody with many years of experience painting the portrait, how does that person handle it? And I think that's the golden nuggets that you get from my live stream. So it doesn't matter whether if I have part 11 or part 12. I don't care. It really, what's really important is that you can see the whole process from start to finish. I think that's the real takeaway, in my opinion. What do you all feel? So, which is cool. And all right, so whatever we do in one eye, we got to go ahead and do it in the other eye. So let's look at her other eye. And maybe we have something to do in her eyebrow. Let's see. Yeah, there's some eyebrow work we definitely can do. So, let's see. And of course, I'm using this liner brush. There we go. And you see how it comes down a little bit? That's okay. It's a happy accident, you know. Tim, since you have the detail mix, do you use the light mix still? Yes, definitely. So here's the progression now, which is really good. Since I pretty much cut out the dark mix, you can always get that darker mixture by doing layers of the medium mix. So the detail mix first, then the light mix for the midtones and the darker values, and then for the darkest darks I use the medium mix now, which is really great. So that works out. Mr. Patrick, Cheese Grits and NyQuil, how are you, sir? Great to see you. How's everything, sir? I know you're putting in a lot of hours working hard. I admire you for taking care of business, so that is fantastic. And I love the project we're working on, so that is fun. Me and Mr. Patrick are actually working on Yupo paper. How about that? We're going to see how we can do with it. There we go. So everybody loves Patrick because he's a great guy. So always fantastic to see him. All right, so you see we worked on her eye here. I don't see too much more to do. Maybe, just maybe, I can extend. Maybe I can make her iris just a little wider on this side here. Not much, just a little bit. And you remember, it's not a complete circle because a circle in perspective is an ellipse. So that's what this is. So it's an ellipse, which is good to know. You're working on Yupo, and Cheese Grits says he's working on garbage. That's not true. Cheese Grits and NyQuil is a very talented painter. That is for certain. And I don't draw any shade, so that's the truth. Really some great work. It's great working with Patrick in the, together in the mentorship program. It really is a pleasure. All right, so I'm happy with that. So that's good. I don't want to go too crazy. Gotta, as Everett would say, take it down a notch, right? I gotta just kind of chill out sometimes, with some of this detail. But I'm just kind of letting my brush kind of glide. I hold it way back here and kind of let it glide. So I don't think we're going to have a bonus live stream because we only have 45 seconds. So we need three of the super chats in the next 30 seconds if we're going to have a bonus live stream tomorrow. So it doesn't look good, but that's okay. Tomorrow is another day. Next week's another day, so that's cool. Let's see, just bring this over. The people have spoken. That's what they say, right? And okay, so now we can work on her scalp. So let's work on her scalp. We'll bring this down. Okay. And sort of an interplay of the hair going into the scalp. And remember, it's not equidistant, so we want to make sure they're not equidistant and the same size, right? I painted lots of scalps. And as you get to the point like me and you're kind of like an old guy, you kind of draw on your experience. No pun intended. You draw on your experience. And then you really get that impression of, you really get that impression there. But thank you so much, Mr. Let's see, Mr. Air Todd and Mr. Bobby for the super chats. I appreciate yous. Thank you guys. We just didn't make it to the bonus live stream tomorrow. There we go. Just bring this over. There we go. So now we're getting a real feeling of the hair coming out of the scalp, which is so important, right? Okay, now that we have this, we can start doing some of the darks of the hair, kind of the shadows. See that? Now we can really get into the hair. And it's, you know, hair is funny. I always tell my students, hair is something that you work on throughout the whole painting. You're not going to spray it and say, done hair. No. Hair evolves with the painting. If it doesn't, then you're doing a disservice to your painting. You have to kind of, you know, have it develop and get in detail with everything else. And really, hair is probably one of the last things to really get done. Tone says Tyson. So let's see. Oh, Mr. Cheese Grit says this image is very well done. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. And Cheese Grit says Jake Paul or Tyson, who's taking the cake? Well, we have a professional in Mike Tyson, and we have somebody who is out of their league in the other guy. So if Mike Tyson has just a little bit left in the tank, it's not going to be good. It's going to be an uppercut and out. If he connects with just one of those uppercuts, it's over. And, you know, it's all about technique, you know. You know, there's muscle memory with Mike Tyson. There's nonsense with the other guy. You know, it's one's been doing it his whole life, and the other one, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad. I wish them both very, very. I wish them both luck, and I hope they come out of this healthy. And you know, whoever is meant to win, you know. But I don't want to say anything disparaging to anybody. But when you have, you know, a professional going against somebody who isn't trained, I don't know. And Mr. Patrick says, if he wins, do you all realize how many old guys are going to get beat up in the bar for talking smack? Well, hopefully nobody. Well, some of these guys who are older could really, really handle business, right, sir? Including me. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not a tough guy at all. I am not a tough guy. Do not profess to be. Okay, so I'm loving the hair, and let's see how it looks. Okay, so you see, now her scalp looks interesting, so that's good. This has to be softened right here, this edge. Let's see if I can soften it with paintbrush techniques. If not, we have to do something else. So let's see. This stage of the game, it's a lot of subtlety going on, lots of little subtle changes, stuff like that. Can I soften it with just paintbrush techniques? Yes, we can. So we just have to use the dry brush, right? And just very lightly go over the line between the border of the dark and the light. And then we can soften that up quite nicely. There's a lot of ways to get things done. You don't have to adhere to one way, right? There's a lot of ways to get things done. And, try them, try different things. And Airtodd says Tyson with a knockout, and Tone says Tyson with a knockout. Well, Tone just says Tyson. Okay. Okay, so you see how we're just kind of softening things up. I am going to do something in her eyes. Let's see how that goes. So diluting with the 4011. I'm using the dry brush technique, as you can see here. And let's see. Still softening up this edge right here. You can sometimes soften the edge just by doing a value that's closer or in between the dark and the light, which I'm doing right now. That was one of the light bulb moments I had in art school. It's like, wow, you can do that? That was pretty cool. And so I do have this, I have this white in my airbrush, but what I want to do is I want to go ahead and use this secondary airbrush, the Extreme Patriot 105 with the big cup. Everyone loves that airbrush. And we're going to clean this out. I'm doing that Drew Blair technique, so we're going to see if that works. Okay. So we're going to put some 4011 in there because we have wicked paint. You don't want to clean 4011 with, you really don't want to clean 4011 with water. Not clean 4011, clean wicked with water. You want to do it with 4011. So any questions you have during the live stream just about airbrushing, doesn't have to be, pertinent to this piece. So just know that your questions are important to me. One of the reasons why I do the live stream, because you may have questions working on your own, and you can ask me, and I'm more than happy to help you all out. That's for sure. And let's get rid of this, what's in here. So the thing is, if you leave your airbrush, if you leave water in your airbrush, you don't have to clean it because what's in it is not going to have a chance to dry. So that's the thinking. So far, it's been quite successful. So I'm going to clean out my needle, as you can see. And I have some paper towels. And we'll just come over here. Now, since I have the needle out, I can take the Q-tip and I can get into the well of the airbrush. So I work in several media. So even though I'm a professional artist that paints every day, I don't necessarily airbrush every day. So, you know, sometimes I won't airbrush, you know, for 2 days. And so I have to, you know, figure out a way where I can park it and still have it work when I need it to work. So that's where I am right now. So that's why I love this technique. But the thing is, I want to make sure that any dryness that's inside the cup, right? I want to make sure that's, you don't want those little dry flecks to become moist and then kind of fall into your nozzle. That would not be fun. You would not be happy, I would not be happy, and your painting won't be happy. So I'm just getting rid of anything that might cause problems before they happen. Sun Tzu, the Art of War. Every battle is won or lost before it's ever fought. I feel that's so true. Now, I have my backing. So here's the test, everybody. We're going to put my needle back in. I cleaned it out. I ran 4011 through the airbrush. There was no chance of anything to dry because I kept my airbrush wet, so nothing could dry and kind of become a particle in my airbrush that could cause issues. All right, so let's go ahead and do some sepia, right? So I'm going to put sepia in the cup right here. Yeah, why not? Let's do some sepia. It is a little bit on the green side, but that's okay. We can live with a little bit of green. I'm going to mix this probably 2 to 1. I want it nice and diluted. And I'm going to use, I don't use those little plastic things, you know, those little wooden sticks. Not the right way, just my way. Not the wrong way either. Okay. So let's see how we're doing. Okay, she's coming along, right? We don't have to be ecstatic about our painting, but if we're happy, then that's good. All right, so we're going to put a little bit of our sepia in there. Now, before we touch our airbrush, right, what are we going to do? What are the things before? Whenever you put more paint in there, or you start your painting, your airbrush for the first time that day, what is it that you do? If anyone could tell me in the comments, what do you do before you do anything? You make sure that you test it on test it on a scrap piece of paper. So here's the things that we're looking for. We're definitely looking for when you push down on your airbrush and ink or paint comes out. When that happens, that means two things. Either there's something stuck in your nozzle, or you don't have your needle all the way forward. Those are two things that could cause that. So now, when I'm doing this, I'm actually getting beautiful, beautiful spray. Like a brand new custom Micron. No, like a brand new Extreme Patriot Arrow custom airbrush, because I test it out for hours before it gets sent to you. But you see how beautiful that is? It's doing exactly what Tim wants. So that's good. Mr. Gary, how's it going, my friend? So good to see you. How are you today? I am so glad you're here. And it was so great to hear from Kyle yesterday. Oh man, wasn't that the best? I was so happy and excited, Gary. So, you know, thank you for sharing that wonderful, you know, blessing with us. And how great is that? So cool. Mr. Air Todd says he feels like a newbie with my ink. He was playing with the detail mix. So here's the thing with the detail mix I want you to do. Everyone who has a detail mix. What I want you to do is first dilute it 1-to-1 with water. When you do that, then it's like really super light, like sketching with a 2H pencil, right? If it's so light, it's easy to fix. And then once you work with that, then you can build up to the full strength detail mix, right? So then you have the full strength detail mix, and it's just fantastic. So hopefully that helps. So that is great. So Gary from Pennsylvania, great to see you. So glad you're here, sir. Now this is painting, right? So this airbrush I did not touch for a whole 4 days. And in those 4 days, I did what Drew Blair said, is I just sprayed through, still had some paint in there, put some water in there, and just let it sit. And now I cleaned it out, and the thing is working like brand new. You know, Kyle will be coming home on the 23rd. That is such amazing news, Gary. Thank you for sharing with me with that. Oh, wow. God is great. Yeah, that's all I have to say. And he's a tough kid. Of course, he's Gary's kid, right? So I'm so glad he's such a tough kid. You know, he fought back, and he is well on the road to being 100%. I love that. I love hearing stories like that of triumph. And Air says, do I dilute the light mix? Yes. So right here you have the detail, the light, and the medium mixture. That gives you 6 values. You have the diluted detail mixture, the detail mixture. You have diluted light mixture, the light mixture. Diluted medium mixture, medium mixture. 6 values. So use all those 6 values. So that's so important. So look what we can do with the having the sepia diluted 2-to-1 with the airbrush, just really nice. So three cheers for Mr. Drew Blair for sharing that secret of how he keeps his airbrush running. So that's really great. Okay, so I'm going to soften up this hair as it comes out here. Let's see, probably best if I zoom out a little bit. Okay. Mr. Gary, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. I really appreciate you and the encouragement. It always comes at the right time. Thanks so much, Gary. I just want to say, you know, it's so great to have met you on Mr. Leahy's live stream. And, you know, it's such an honor that you come onto my live stream and everything like that. It really is. So thank you so much. And let's see. Let's see. Thanks so much, Gary. I'm going to write that there. Thank you, Gary. And can I do that with, oh yeah, so let me reply to Bobby. So now there's new things. I can actually reply to the time. Oh, I can't, but I can put a heart on Bobby's live stream. And I'll put a heart on Mr. Air Todd's live stream. So that's cool. So thank you for that, guys. Just thank you so much for your support, everybody. It means so much to me. Your friendship means even more. And, you know, thanks for hanging out with us here today. So now we have this detail mixture, and we're going to really run with it. Let's see. I'm going to soften up some areas here. Can I use this live stream to, live stream, can I use the sepia mixture to kind of deepen right here, just above the orbital, superorbital eminence here? and it's really working. So you can actually sketch and darken values with the sepia mixture, which is really nice. So you can, it's sort of like glazing, right? That's basically what it is. It's glazing. So that's perfect. So the Americans out there, everyone have a good Thanksgiving planned, I hope. I'm going to zoom in on our eye so you all can see what I'm working on. And just kind of creating the light and dark. So remember, this is in the eye socket when it's in the center of the eye. As it comes out, there's this fat compartment, retroabicularis oculi fat pad, and so it's going to get more light because it's coming out. This is going in, so we're just going to create more of that three-dimensional form. You know, great people like you all really keep the love of painting, you know? I mean, honestly, the live stream does more for me than anyone else because as an artist, we can definitely be isolated, especially a professional artist, you know, doing it for money. You know, it's no difference between me and someone who's not doing it for money, but being someone who does it for money and, you know, trying to do it as my livelihood, it can get very lonely, you know, and you don't have the working in the office like I used to, stuff like that. So this this Friday, you know, this Wednesday night live streams are really really important to me, and I just want to impart that to you all. So thank you for hanging with me. And let's see, Mr. Todd says, what does Drew do with the airbrush? Oh, so when he cleans it, let me see if Bobby, yes, Bobby answered it. Thanks, Bobby. Bobby says he leaves water in the cup at the end of the night, helps any paint left over from drying up. That's exactly it. Perfect explanation. Thank you, Bobby. Mr. Nameless, how are you? Great to see you. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. And how's everything, Nameless? Nameless is from California. And he's saying the painting's looking great. Thanks, Nameless. I appreciate it. Nameless has been a friend of the channel for a very long time. We don't see him every week because he's working a lot, and that's admirable. And so that's good. How's your painting going? You have any new projects, sir? Always loving what you're doing. Let's see. Dave, Mr. Dave Gregory, how's it going? Just landed in Philly. So glad you're here. How's everything, sir? I sent a package out to you today. Should be in time for the group class. So I got it under the gun. So that is good. And so I know you're always working hard, Mr. Dave. And so I'm so glad you made it here. And it doesn't matter when you make it, just that you make it, right? So I'm glad you're here, sir. That is good news. And Nameless says he does working on a religious piece. Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. And Ed Todd says, I do that with the eclipse. See, the word's getting around, right? That's fantastic. So, yeah, I used to break it down every night, and you know, I would probably get an 80% that 80% chance that it's going to work perfectly, but there's always that 20% doing it the other way of breaking it down. So it really is a fantastic method. So I've been having, you know, pretty much 100% success rate since doing that. And so Bobby says he does it with all of his airbrushes. Fantastic. So I love that the word is getting out. That is great. I'm going to try and work on hitting the dark of her nose here. But notice how, you know, that sepia just darkens the flesh tone so nicely. It's like a glaze, right? Remember, for a glaze to work, it has to have something lighter underneath, right? Just like a stained glass. For stained glass to work, it has to have something lighter underneath for that to happen, you know? Especially when you don't get the airbrush daily. Yes, that's exactly, my point is that, although I paint every day, I don't always paint an airbrush every day. See how I'm able to kind of get a real feel of what's happening with the orbicularosaurus. Orbicularosaurus is a muscle that goes around the whole mouth. This orbicularis means orbiting, and oris means mouth. So a lot of these Latin terms will actually tell you where and what it does, these muscles. This is really cool. In my mentorship class, I teach muscles and bones and fat compartments. So when you're painting, it's not going to be a mystery where these light and shadow patterns are. Very predictable. And we'll, right underneath, we're going to do the line of the orbicularosaurus as it intersects the mental fat compartment on the chin. So, by knowing anatomy, it's like knowing a neighborhood, right? You know several ways to get there. You can tell, how to get there from here, that kind of thing. So very, very important. Anything that's going to help you do a better painting is important. So someone says to me, Tim, is anatomy important? If it makes your painting better, yes, it is 100% important. So always remember that. It depends on whether it makes your work better. And a little bit of studying, is that going to be, something that you want to do? If it makes that 5% improvement of your painting, definitely. So now I have this medium aggressive eraser, and they're not available anymore, so I'm going to zoom out here. And let's see, I have some lines I'm not 100% happy with, and I'm just going to see if this is going to help me. It may not, but I think it is, so I'm happy with it. I'm going to run this through the pencil sharpener. Now, when you have a pencil sharpener, here's a good thing. Oh, okay, no. Oh, be careful, my friend. Mr. Dave is debarking from his airplane, which is cool. And Bobby says he wish he could airbrush every day. Hopefully 2 more weeks he can get back at it. More football and cheer season. Oh, cool. Well, that's all right, when you're ready, I'm always here to help. So that's okay, Bobby. Family is more important. All right, so now I got this beautiful point. And like anything else, you want to test. So why would you test your pencil? Because let's say I was erasing red maybe a week ago, and there's still red on it, and I'm going over her face, and now I have red on her face. It's not the end of the world, but that's more work than you want to be dealing with. So that's important consideration. We are in the 2nd hour of today's live stream, which is fantastic. So that is great. And so I'm really enjoying this with you all. So now I'm going to really, and you look, it does work. Let's see. We'll zoom in on her beautiful nose. Remember we had that line we didn't like? It's gone, just like that. I'm not against erasing, but there's a time and a place, That's important. Always has to have its time and place. It shouldn't be, for me, it shouldn't be an end-all be-all. It should be something that kind of enhances the work, kind of helps you out whenever you have a little bit of mistake, but I don't want it to be the main technique. Just from my art school background, okay? That's all it is. It's not the right way, the wrong way. It's Tim's way. And now you can see I can just put a little tiny bit of light on the wing of the nostril there, just a little bit. So Nameless says, I have a little time. He watches almost everything at 3 times speed. Makes it painful to watch at normal speed. I hear that, my friend. So I know what it's like to have the compression of time, right? So I hear that. And I'm just going to use this semi-aggressive eraser. It's a little more aggressive than these guys, the Perfections. So a little bit more aggressive than the Perfections. And let's see. Just a little bit like that. And so we're working on her lip here. So the center part of the lip, it's called a tubule. Tubule. And so there's 3 parts. There's 2 wings in the tubule. And so right now we're kind of hitting the light of that, not hitting the light, but we're indicating the light of that tubule there. I really love painting the female form. The male form is wonderful to paint too. You need to know both. So, you know, like the work of Michelangelo and, you know, those are fantastic, you know. So you need to know both because there's this subtle, just so graceful elegance to the female form. And then there's this strength to the male form. So you need to know both. Having that art school education really helped me to see the strength of both and how one can help the other, which is really crucial. It's the balance, right? It's like karate. Have anyone studied martial arts out there? And if you did, it's the importance of having that balance, right? If you're one way and not the other, there's a weakness and you could have a balance issue. So make sure that doesn't happen, you know. Even down to the portrait, a male portrait and a female portrait. It's a big difference, a child portrait as to an older person's portrait. There's a big difference, but a subtlety of likeness between the two that could really make your work from, you know, maybe at 80% proficiency to 85%. And you might say, well, 5% is not a big deal. Yes, it is. 5% is, you know, a big deal. Gary says, sorry, gotta run. Take care, everyone. Be safe. See you all in the feed somewhere. Have a great night, Gary. Say hi to Kyle for me. Tell him, you know, I'm praying for him and rooting for him. And so that's great. Thank you so much for the super chat and the encouragement, Mr. Gary. I will see you on some of the live streams later this week. And thanks so much. I really appreciate you, sir. So now it's time for subtlety. We're getting into the end of the painting. So now I can just use this eraser just to slightly lighten the depressor anguli oris on the corner of the mouth here. See, the depressor anguli oris is the muscle on the corner of the mouth that's in control of our frowns. And you can see on this side, it's a shadow. On this side, it's a light because it's coming out. The light's coming from the right side, the upper right. So that means that anything that's facing the upper right is going to get light. So that's why we're seeing a little bit of light here. So there's several things to consider. You want to consider, you know, what we're painting. We want to consider the anatomy. We want to consider the lighting. You know, where's the light coming from? Always have that in mind. That's going to be something crucial. So make sure that you always keep that in mind of where that light is. Okay, so that's very important. And always consider what you're painting, the anatomy. Last but not least, if you're not doing a portrait commission, then it's the likeness. I don't care if this looks like her, you know, the model. it's not a portrait of her. It's it's a angel, right? So it doesn't have to look like this model. If it does happen, you do everything right, the likeness should fall into place, but it's not your number one goal. Now, if it's a portrait commission, yeah, my goal is to keep in back of my mind that it has to look like the person who's commissioned me to paint her. But that's the beauty of, not doing commissions, because you're free to just, paint, just worry about the main ideas of the painting, which is great. The anatomy, uh, the edges, all that fun stuff. And let's see. Just kind of bring this over here. And JC says, no pressure and more enjoyment. Yes, there is a certain pressure that comes into painting portraits. You know what's funny? I'm a portrait painter, and I haven't gotten any portrait commissions this year. Now, that's okay, I don't want anything that's not meant for me. So no portrait commissions came this year. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to worry about doing my own stuff, which is great. Paint people who I want to paint, right? And that's okay. Right here I have a little bit of a hard edge here. I don't like it. Even though the reference material has a hard edge here, sometimes it doesn't work. It might work in a photo, but then when you bring it into painting, you're like, this doesn't work. So you want to make sure that, if it doesn't translate, get rid of it. So I'm getting rid of that hard edge here. There's a little bit of a dark next to her sternocleidomastoid. And it's kind of like a cast shadow from her masseter or jawbone. And so, like I said, it looks good in the photo. It doesn't necessarily look good in your painting. So think about that always. It's so important. And there we go. And here we have a nice soft edge. And so yeah, the eraser is really working. Now, where her breasts are, the cleavage, there's a hard edge here, but I'm not quite hard. And JC says if it doesn't translate, the language doesn't exist. So true, right? It's so true. I think that's important. And I'm going to soften up this cleavage here. Just soften up that edge. Remember, we have different ways of softening edges, right? You've seen we use the eraser. We also use the value in between the two values and kind of painting that in. So there's a lot of ways to get rid of, which is really great. There's a lot of ways to soften edges. So the live stream, you really don't know exactly what it's going to be about. In my introduction that I did on YouTube and Facebook, I talked about working on the dress, working on the hair. We did that. But I didn't talk about softening edges, but that's basically what this live stream is about. Thank you, JC. I appreciate that. And someone like myself who speaks two languages, there are some times where I can't find a translation for a word in a different language. You find that, JC? That you want to find, I know the word cariño is a word that I have a hard time translating that to English. Do you have that trouble sometimes, sir? You're much better in Spanish than I'll ever be, so you probably have that even more than me. And I always admire people who can speak different languages. It's so wonderful that, I think it's such an incredible advantage in life. It really is. It's just, and I'm always so impressed with my friends who can speak, different languages so perfectly. And JC's one of them. Sometimes he can't even come up with a word in either language. Then, like, I guess it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down, right, sir? That's probably, yes, definitely. And we're just going to, I'm going to work on her, fixing the edge on her cleavage. And I'm still going to use the sepia, but it tends to be a little bit on the green side. So I'm probably going to come in with a red iron oxide just to warm that up a little bit. That would be a good idea. But I definitely want that cleavage to be softer. And that's important to me. And and where it is already has the red iron oxide, adding the dark uh, of the sepia kind of works with that and kind of doesn't get so green. So it all depends on what's underneath, how it reacts. And I'm just going to use it a little bit to kind of shape the tracheal area over here. There we go. We are getting close to the finish of this painting. It's going to be so sad when it's over. Sad but good. But, it's necessary for a painting to be over, but it is a little. So, cariño can mean a lot of things. So true, right? So true. It could, like if someone says, I have cariño for her, that could mean something. And you can also call someone cariño, right? And that's coming from someone who doesn't know the language as well as you do, sir. Yes, so I do see that. But learning Spanish has been such a big part of my life. I mean, I've met so many friends. I got married to somebody who speaks Spanish, and so it really opens up a lot of worlds to one to have that kind of wider scope in people. And JC says it could mean sweetheart, loving someone, caressing someone. Very true. All in the context, right, sir? That's so very true. And I'm going to use this sepia. And again, whenever you're not sure, always test your airbrush. And this is a beautiful diluted. It's almost like my detail mixture. And but you can actually use that to just lightly darken colors, which is great. And we could use it to create some designs in her dress. See that? We can kind of detail some of the design in the dress here, which is nice. See how we can kind of create that. Let me see if I can move. How do I do this? Maybe just move this up a little bit. There we go. So you can see what I'm doing with the dress. But I want her to stand out from the wing. So we're going to use this. Maybe we can go back to Mr. Gerald Mendez's wonderful texture stencil, right? Ah, thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Mr. Mr. JC says I speak Spanish. It's important to me, so I really appreciate that. I don't get to practice. I'm not married to a Spanish woman anymore, so I don't get to practice as much as I used to. I used to do Spanish customer service. I used to help Spanish customers when I worked in the customer service field in Amazon. And that was great. I got to meet so many really cool people. If I didn't know the language, I never would have been able to meet them and help them. So I'm richer for it. So now I'm separating her from her wing, right? Just a little bit. We want her to come forward and her wing to go back. So this sepia is working really well with this amber color. So remember before, the green kind of works with the yellow of the sepia. And it's working well. Oh yeah, so now we can really kind of have the light kind of curl around, right? So if I can bring this shadow coming this way, it will enhance the whole shape of the painting. So that's what we want to do. We want to, painting, it's one thing to paint and it's another thing to make a painting. And that's what we're doing. At this point, we're making a painting. So we're creating something with design. If this was an abstract painting, and this wasn't a person, an angel, a wing, a background, a dress, would it work? Those are things that, we always search for. And the same thing, I'm going to create some of the feathers so it comes in like this to create that movement. Movement is so important in painting. So now we're at the stage where we're now making a painting as opposed to just painting a portrait, right? And this is the stage where you make those changes in your artwork that are going to be there forever. Once I give my Timothy Smith signature, it's done. That's it. It remains like this as long as this painting is around. Even after I'm gone, this is still going to be here. And so I wanted to have, as much of an idea of a painting. So how do you know, is it, when you're making a painting, how do you know that you're creating a good design? And that's where looking at artwork, looking at the old masters, a painter who's really fantastic is an artist called William Bouguereau. Those who study with me know his name well. Very important 19th century French academic painter. And, you can see like he does a lot of angels. And it's all in the movement, right? So when's a painting done? When it's finished. And who knows whether it's finished or not is the artist themselves, right? I mean, there's really no one that can tell you when it's finished. Only you know when it's finished. So, but thank you everybody so far for hanging with me. Mr. JC, have a great night. Always a pleasure. Say hi to the kids for me and the missus. Tell them if I don't, in advance, happy Thanksgiving. Feliz Dia de las Gracias. Right, sir? And so let them know that I wish them a happy Thanksgiving coming up. Especially my friend Sergio. He's cool. Just going to darken this up a little bit at the tip. There we go. So now we're getting a feeling, a little stronger three-dimensional quality here, which is really cool. Okay, remember we have the white, right? And we still have it. So Stream Patriot 105, customized by myself, available on my website. Stream Patriot Arrow, customized by myself, available on inkflingers.com. This is an airbrush. Once you use it, you're going to be using it all the time. Thank you so much for that, Mr. JC. So now we have the white, and we don't want to, you know what? We got to make sure. Sometimes it gets a little bit of a clog in there. So now, so you see I'm making sure that white's not coming out when I'm just pulling out the pulling down the air, right? And make sure the cap's on tight. I don't want to make these mistakes on my painting, right? So those are little things. A bunch of, I remember I talked about edges, and I talked about anatomy, and I talked about, testing the airbrush, and all these little things don't mean much, but when you add them up, it means a lot. It's a great big difference, right? So when to use a freehand shield, when to erase, all those little things make up huge, huge dividends. And so now I'm going to be using the feathers to create that movement, right? So we're going to be doing that. Like I said, you get sad when a painting's over. I mean, you're happy, that's your goal, right? But when it's over, you're like, oh man. Eastside, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate you. You have a wonderful evening, and I hope to see you next week. And if you have any questions about airbrush, whatever, please let me know. And take care of yourself. So thank you so much for being a friend and hanging with the live stream tonight. Mr. Eastside or Mrs. Eastside, not sure, but thank you so much from Chicago. So cool. I like having a smaller channel. You know, I know one day God may bless it and might be huge, and that's great. But there are certain things about a smaller channel that is really, really amazing. So I don't want to discount. In the Bible, it says, don't discount. It's like, don't curse the days of small beginnings, right? Something like that. I know I didn't get it right, but I'm paraphrasing. And don't hate the days of small beginnings, because there's a certain blessing in small beginnings. I get to know where you all are from and everything. Wow, look at this. Art Epithecus. Oh, so great to see you from Peru. Thank you so much. Art says, nice angel portrait. Viva Peru. ¿Cuál ciudad de Peru? ¿Dónde está? Let me see. ¿De dónde estás? Or ¿de dónde eres? So where are you from, my friend? In Peru. Are you from the capital, Lima? Great culture with the Incas and everything. I just love your culture. And so much to learn from the Incas about design, right? So much. And Machu Picchu. I think the best phrase is "de donde eres?" That would be where you're from, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, I don't get to practice my Spanish as much. I need to. So as you see, I'm really creating that feeling of the weight of those feathers of her wing, right? I have to do that. That's important. So I'm going to create some of the really nice specular lights here of her dress. See that? Just kind of create a feeling of an ethereal person. Oh, in Lima, Barranco district. I'm a portrait painter. Oh, fantastic. That's so cool. And do you work mostly in airbrush? Do you also work in oil or maybe acrylic? That is so great. Welcome. I hope you come back again after tonight. We're here every Wednesday. Every Wednesday between 9:30 and 11:30. Oh, thank you so much for the Spanish compliment. I appreciate it. Estoy aprendiendo la lengua y yo necesito practicar mucho más. Pero algún día yo voy a hablar perfectamente. Pero ahora, así. So basically, I was just saying that I need to learn Spanish. I'm learning Spanish. I need to practice more. One day I hope to be perfect, but right now it's so-so. One other thing I'm learning right now is quantum physics. And you might say, like, oh, who do you think you are, Tim, knowing quantum physics? I don't think that I'm super smart, but I think that anything we want to learn, if we put our mind to it, we can. So why I'm learning quantum physics is that it has to do with the study of light. And like I said, if I can learn about what light does on the molecular level, then I could, if it helps out 5%, makes me a better painter, then I need to learn it. So that's basically my whole philosophy, is look for those little 5% here and there that I can take my work to the next level. Talent can only take us so far. And I really love the way that she's starting to have that feeling of light coming from her dress, right? It's not a dress she got at, got at Macy's. This is something that comes from heaven. So we have to try and make it as heavenly as possible, otherworldly as possible. So I'm just going to create some emanating light from her dress, like right there. You know, it's a fantasy painting. Well, no, angels are not fantasy, but it's from our mind, right? From our spirit. So we don't know exactly what angels look like, but, maybe this is inspired, right? So we got to look at it that way. So there we are. We kind of did some really cool things with the light, and we're getting there, right? Little by little. I'm going to take another sip of my tea, but sadly it's over. That was good. So, Art Day, is there a drink? I think there's a drink in Peru that you guys drink. Is it called mate? Um, Let me know if you're still on what that is. And I heard great things about it. I go to a Peruvian restaurant and I love uh, papas huacainas. And do you ever? I'm sure you have that. That's I have that at Peruvian restaurant whenever I go. Let me see if I can spell it out. Papas huacainas. It's really good. It is a um, it's made with potatoes boiled and sliced, and it has this incredible yellow cheese sauce. It's really good. And it's a little bit on the spicy side, not too much, but just a little bit of a kick to really make it enjoyable and memorable. So let me know if you guys have that in your area, Mr. Arte. Or Ms. Arte, I'm not sure. Uh, and now I want to kind of, bring her shoulder forward. So I'm just going to enhance the dark a little bit there. And now I have the sepia in my brush again. And maybe I could, I said I was going to do a lot of paintbrush techniques, but it didn't work out that way, did it? You just never know what a painting session's going to take you, right? You just never know. And I'm just going to kind of, I want to get the feathers kind of coming in to create that movement, that kind of sweeping movement. So it's been, so there's one more live stream and we're going to be done. Now on inkflingers.com, if you go to the description field, you can see where you can actually purchase a line drawing of this with all of the freehand shields, the freehand stencils, so you can map it out. and you can work on that with Airbrush. So that's available at inkflingers.com if you're interested. And the link is in the description field, so that's cool. So what I did was I just kind of darkened right to the left of her cheek there, just to bring her face forward, right? And I'm going to do that a little bit more. Oh, Dave is listening and driving. Be careful, my friend. So cool that you're here. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out. We are in the last 12 minutes of today's live stream, which is amazing. So it was fun. We learned a lot. We went over a lot of different things today, which is good. Always check for tip dry. Remember, don't take for granted of what's going on your surface. Always have your little practice piece here. You can adjust your pack valve. You can check for tip dry. You can maybe see if you're running low. All those different things. Always make sure. You know, you have to always assess and reassess while you're painting. Don't take for granted that everything, all the conditions are the same as when you started. Okay, here's another thing. You're going to find at the end of a painting, there's a lot of things going on that, you know, all of a sudden don't look right when other things kind of fall into place. So right here at the clavicle, I have a super hard edge, but it looked good before, but now it doesn't, right? So that's what I mean. It's one thing to paint something, but it's another thing to make a painting, right? And what compressor am I using? I am using the Silent Air, the 50. It is the Silent Air Super Silent 50. I love it. It's really great. It's pricey. It cost me like $700, but it was far worth it. I think I bought it about 4 years ago. 4, maybe 5, but about 4 years ago. And I really love it. So great question, Arte. I appreciate that. And so right here, you see that super hard edge there? It just doesn't work anymore. I want to soften it. I can do it two ways. I can come in with the orange and white mixture. I could do that, or I can do it this way. Just ever so lightly, kind of feather it. You know, I'm doing this little dagger stroke. I want to keep the hard edge right here, but I wanted to soften it up, you know? So I'm just going to soften it, just like so. And you want to be very slow, right? So when you're using anything like razor blades or, in this case, erasers, aggressive erasers, you just want to erase the outer layer. So if I went really crazy and really erase, I would erase all the layers of paint, maybe go back to the gray paper. So be careful of that. Subtlety is important. Bobby says, nice, Dave. Be careful. You're starting to be like him on Fridays coming home from football. That's right. Yes. Mr. Bobby is in the group class, sometimes traveling home from football. Definitely. And just kind of lightening that up. And you see, it's just, you'll know when you're okay, right? You're just going to continue until you feel like you're okay. But it's like really light dagger strokes. Just like painting, you want to start out light and go darker. And the same thing with erasing. You want to start out light pressure and then slowly get to where you want to be. And I think it's okay. Let me just consult my reference. I'm going to soften it up a little bit. And it looks better. And I want it to be kind of assimilated to the rest of the values surrounding it. A nice gradation, right? That's what we're hoping for. So one more live stream and we are done with this painting. Like I said, it's bittersweet. You know, it's something to look forward to, you know. And it's going to be a little sad when it's over. But hopefully she'll find a good home. Paintings can't stay in the artist studio, especially when they're trying to make a living from it. So I'm hoping she finds a great home. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look. We'll zoom out. Yeah, see how that looks much better, much more subtle. You know, subtlety is so crucial when, you know, painting a beautiful woman. It's very, very important. So we're going to go back to our sepia. And where are we going? Okay, so let's go ahead and create a hard edge from her blouse or dress, I'm not sure. All these little things, these little tiny changes, we're getting a glare there, but it definitely is dark over here. And like right over here. Okay, a little bit darker, the lower eyelid. Let's see, I'm gonna look at that. Just a little bit darker on the lower eyelid. And we want to make it soft. And it's nice for these little changes. I want to make little changes. I don't want to change the color or anything like that. I just want to create more of a soft edge by maybe going a little bit darker. And again, you know, it's when you're going so light, you might not see exactly what's happening. So you want to have your scrap piece of paper. You can raise the air pressure. So this way I know exactly what the airbrush is doing as I apply it onto the surface. There we go. Little subtle changes at this point. Here we have a nice softness here. I can kind of bring this over here, have her chin. So we want the chin to come forward, right? That's important to us. Wipe off your freehand shield. Air Todd, have a great night. Yes, we're 3 minutes and counting. A little more than 3 minutes to the end of the live stream. See how I'm kind of bringing that forward just a little bit. And so cool to see you, Todd. Todd, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, my friend, for your support and friendship. Unfortunately, we're unable to reach the 5 super chats. We only had 3, but that's cool. It's all good. So no bonus live stream tomorrow, but that's okay. Everything's where it should be, and I look at it that way. If there was a live stream important to happen tomorrow, it would have happened. So that's how I look at it. So we always have to trust that things are, you know, when we live a good life, that things are going to be where they should be. Okay, so getting really close. Maybe we can do some little hairs. Oh, so Todd will be here to the end. Great. That's fantastic. Always an honor, my friend. Thanks for staying to the end, sir. We're going to do some like little wispy hairs. Some nice little out of focus hairs here. Oh, I love that. So we live in a day where camera lens do some really cool things, and having the knowledge of that, we see mostly everything through cameras. So make sure that we use uh, those effects, because we're creating realism. That's we live in a modern world where most of the people we see are from photos. So a lot of people might say, you can't work from photos, it's not as good as working from life. Yeah, that's a sensibility that is from the 19th century, before there was the advent of really good photography. So I don't really adhere to that. Uh, I mean, with photography and how great photographers are, and the techniques, and the lenses and the focusing systems, it's really silly not to take advantage of the effects of working from photos. Photos are much better at creating believable paintings if you work from them. So I am going to venture out to say that working from photos is actually better than working from life. I mean, does working from life help you? Yes, it does. It helps you to learn about form and seeing things a lot better. But is it better? No, it isn't. So that's kind of from an art school guy, that's kind of a bold statement for me to make. But I can back it up. I'm sorry, we're not living in the 19th century anymore. We have the advent of flash photography and really incredible cameras. Life doesn't sit still. So true, Tone. So true. And how far are you on your portrait, Tone? I'm really loving the self-portrait. One of your best work, and really inspires me to one day do a portrait. I'm of course not a very good-looking subject, but I want to do a self-portrait one of these days. I did one about 2 years ago, and that was a nice experience. Not many people want to see me, so that's why I don't do too many self-portraits. So you see how I softened up this over here, and then here I can soften up with the sepia. The back of her head, see how I softened that up? Really pushes the back of the head back, right? For lack of a better term. Uh, I create like a, so you see there's a halo here. We don't see that. That's an effect from camera lens. But you know what? We interpret that because most of the people we see in our life is from photography, whether it be film or or photos. And this day it's digital. So we hit 11:30. Remember, I came on at 11:33. So I'm going to give you all another couple of minutes. Tone says he's hoping it's only another 8 to 12 hours of painting. I can't wait. Such an incredible piece. And you're back, man. I don't see any rust on you, that's for sure. That is so great. So thank you for sharing that. So now I have this. Dun dun dun. And we're going to see what we can do. Maybe I could hit some of the darks. So I didn't even use the wet palette that much. I'm going to hit some of the darks of these feathers here. See, I can create, more contrast in her beautiful feathers. It's very spiritual painting for me, this particular painting. You know, so this is a dear to my heart painting. Uh, Great feet as always, Tim. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate you. Thank you. Tone says he's really slow. No, I just think you're more deliberate. Uh, you come to the realization that speed means absolutely nothing. The important thing is to to reach your objectives, you know, with the painting. So now I'm coming in and I'm hitting the white and I'm creating the texture and the little feathers on her wing, which is, autocorrect will get us in big trouble, am I right? So that's true. So we won't finish this tomorrow because we didn't reach the 5s, all good. So next week we will finish this painting and I'm excited, and maybe we're not even going to use the full 2 hours to finish this painting, I don't think. But I'm going to have a list. What I like to do is a list of 10 things that what I can do to improve this painting to make it better. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'll share that kind of technique of me finishing this painting. You know, how I use that 10 and then 5 and then 2 and 1. And then I say, okay, it's over. I'm done. That kind of thing. So thank you everyone for hanging. I hope you have a great night. Thanks for everyone with the super chats. Everyone take care. And if you have any questions, please feel free to IM me. In the description is a lot of things that I do sell, such as my airbrushes, my inks. You can buy the stencils. So a lot of really cool things. You can get some of my paintings. And take care, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful night. Bye, everybody.